constructing the Hall of Fame, we realized that we needed to have a special category for the coaches because they've had such an indelible effect on the careers of many athletes. We had the Breakfast of Champions this morning, and one of the athletes who was inducted into the high school division said to me that his coach was probably the most important person in his life after his parents. So the coaches are an incredibly important role in many of these athletes' lives. And that's where we start tonight, folks. We will start with the coaching category, and as we announce each one of the inductees as they get inducted into the Hall of Fame, after their video we'll ask them to come up and they'll be awarded their special Hall of Fame award here that you see displayed beautifully in front of you. And also our lovely young ladies will present them with a special front cover of the magazine with their portrait on the front cover of Space Coast Sports. I would like to mention, folks, that every one of these videos that you're going to see here tonight is housed on the Hall of Fame on spacecoastdaily.com. So you can look at these videos, share them with your friends, your relatives through Facebook and other social devices. So go to spacecoastdaily.com where you can see all of these fantastic presentations from here on forward. A very important member of our team, Peter Kerasotis, who joined our team several months ago, an incredible journalist, one of the most respected journalists in the United States, joined our team. We couldn't be happier to have Peter on the Maverick Multimedia team. In fact, Peter was voted as the #1 football writer of the year last year by the U.S. Football Writers. So what a greater testimony there is than that. Peter couldn't be with us tonight, but we have prepared a short message from Peter, and he'll kick off our video presentations for the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you enjoy the presentations as we move forward. Roger, first presentation.
Hello there, and welcome to a very exciting adventure, the inauguration of the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. I'm Peter Kerasotis, sports editor of spacecoastdaily.com, and I am delighted to be telling you about this new Sports Hall of Fame for our great area along the Space Coast here that is going to celebrate the rich history of sports that we've enjoyed for many years in the past and going on for many years in the future. SpaceCoastDaily.com is your new daily destination for all your news, sports, and other information that goes on up and down the Space Coast. If you haven't already, visit us at SpaceCoastDaily.com, and I'm sure that you'll agree that this is your daily destination for all that you want to know about in our great community. And as far as the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame is concerned, what a wonderful idea that is long overdue. As many of you know, I've written about sports along Brevard County for more than 30 years. I've known many of these inaugural class of inductees. Personally, have written about many of them through the years, and it's an exciting, illustrious first class that's going into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. So let's take a moment, please, to extend our appreciation to Brevard Productions and Maverick Multimedia for their foresight, planning, and commitment to making this Hall of Fame a reality. On May 11th, it will be the first of an annual celebration and recognition of our community's great sports history. Credentials for becoming inducted into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame: success, commitment, talent, integrity, teamwork. The list of ingredients goes on. So what we're looking forward to on May 11th, and what you'll look forward to as well, is recognizing and honoring our inaugural class of 2012. Let's take a quick look then at who will be our first group of men and women to enter the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. I'm sure you'll agree that that is a wonderful class. My sincere apologies for not being able to be here tonight. I really would have liked that. But I know that you're going to enjoy this inaugural class of the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. And my sincere congratulations to all of you in this first class that's going in. Enjoy the evening.
Now lives a quiet life in retirement. He has a house on a small lake in Douglas, Georgia. That's his reward for being one of Florida's all-time football coaching greats. Odom guided Merritt Island High School to consecutive Class 4A state football titles in 1978 and 79. Back in those days, Class 4A was reserved for Florida's biggest high schools. And traveling by airplane for the 78 victory at Pensacola Pine Forest was a really big deal for that team. They won 20-6. They beat Pensacola again the following year. Odom was born in 1941, starred at Apopka High School, and graduated from the school in 1959. He was a 3-year letterman at University of Florida and learned the game under Coach Ray Graves. In 1967, he joined Merritt Island, and 5 years later was the defensive coordinator as the Mustangs beat Tallahassee Leon to win the Class 4A championship game. He later became their head coach. Odom was named as one of Florida's top all-time coaches when the Florida High School Athletic Association named its All-Century team. In 1996, he became head coach at New Smyrna Beach High School, where his son Jerry was an assistant coach for him. In 6 seasons with the Barracudas, Odom posted a record of 55 wins and 17 losses. Chuck Goldfarb then brought Odom to Cocoa High School, and in 3 seasons, Odom recorded a record of 22-11 and built a foundation for success that saw the Tigers win state titles in 2008, 2009, and 2010. He finished his head coaching career with a prestigious 268-85 record. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Gerald Odom, our next inductee into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest coaches ever to come out of Brevard County. Let's hear it for Gerald Odom, the first inductee ever of the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. Odom is coming up now. We'll be followed by our lovely girls here. We're going to present him with his Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame award and his front cover of the magazine. Coach, many congratulations on behalf of the Space Coast. Thank you so much. And here is your award, sir. And here is your portrait. Thank you very much, Coach. I'll ask you to say a few words here. Let me hold that for you.
Well, I really appreciate the honor. There's a lot of people that had a lot to do with it. Several of them in the audience tonight. But got a great staff, a great bunch of kids, and they believed that they were going to win every time we played. That made it a lot easier. Big teams. But I'd like to say it's just a real honor to be here, and thank you very much for this.
And 2010. He finished his
Next presentation, please.
head
Right?
coaching career with a prestigious 268-85 record. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Gerald Odom, our next inductee into the Space Coast Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Floyd Horgan came to Brevard Junior College in 1966 to be a basketball coach. When he retired from Brevard Community College in 1993, he left as one of the most successful college golf coaches in the US. Horgan left Brevard for 3 years to coach Hal Sutton, a future PGA standout at Centenary College from 1979 to 81. Sutton's father, a wealthy businessman, had coaxed Horgan to leave Brevard with a financial offer he couldn't refuse. 3 years later, Horgan returned to Brevard Community College, added to what already was a successful coaching career at that school. He received his bachelor's degree from the University of Miami in 1959, majoring in physical education and history. He earned a master's in physical education and high school administration at Ohio University. He came back to Florida to teach history and physical education at MacArthur High in Hollywood. Then he got that call from Brevard Junior College. After Horgan returned to BCC for the 1982 spring season, they won titles in 1985, 87 and 91. Former Satellite High standout Steve LaMontagne was the national medalist in 85. He went on to play on the PGA Tour. Horgan's basic fundamental is to use the body to swing the club. He says that once you are willing to swing, you can teach the body to swing better. As a former baseball pitcher, he was able to apply some of these mechanics to golf when he began his career as a coach. Pitchers, he says, make good golfers, but hitters not so well. A hitter, he says, tends to rush his swing, whereas a pitcher relies more on body mechanics. After everything Floyd has accomplished in his coaching career, we will confidently take his word on that statement. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we now honour Coach Floyd Horgan as our next inductee into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, probably one of the greatest college coaches ever in the United States. And we're so proud that he calls Space Coast his home, all the way from Montana with his family. Coach Horgan came to join us this week. We couldn't be happy that he did to join us here at the Hall of Fame. Coach Horgan, many congratulations. Thank you so much for all your great contributions throughout your career. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I feel tremendously honored to be here tonight. And there are so many people that I need to thank, but I'm not going to mention anybody's name because I would certainly leave somebody off that deserves to be named. Golf support is a little different than support for most other sports. Either we support a team because we went to college there, or it's our high school, or just are emotionally involved, connected to a team. Golfers are different. The people that support golf are golfers, and we couldn't have had our success at the bar without a great golf community. All the golfers at the bar actually made it possible for us to have a program that we were very proud of. And I want to thank them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roger. Next one, please.
Mike Gaudy, now retired in Satellite Beach, was a legendary coach in both boys and girls basketball, building his reputation at Cocoa Beach High School, where he was also the athletic director. Gaudy guided the Minuteman boys to the 2004 Class 3A state title, beating St. Petersburg Catholic in the final. Two of that team, Sasha Khan and Walter Hodge, have gone on to successful pro careers. Gaudy graduated from Melbourne Central Catholic and the University of Florida. guided girls basketball teams at Cocoa Beach to 10 appearances in the Final Four. His '88 team won the Class 2A state title, beating Keystone Heights. During this period, the three-point play was added to high school basketball, and Mike was one of the best coaches in Florida using this to his advantage. Scoring 90 points a game was unheard of until Gaudy's teams started doing it regularly. Mike's daughter Lee was one of his standout players in the 90s and went on to play for the University of North Florida. His sons TJ and Kyle both played for his basketball team. Mike was also Cocoa Beach's girls tennis coach for several years, the offensive coordinator for the football team, a junior varsity baseball coach, and a middle school track and field coach. He even led the cheerleading squad when the coach quit at the last minute. He taught science and physical education before becoming the school's athletic director. Now in retirement, he can spend a lot more time with his wife Melody, and they can enjoy paddleboard surfing and spotting dolphins and manatees while they're out on the water. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Mike Gaudy as our next inductee into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe Melody's here tonight. Here he comes, Coach Gaudy. Congratulations, Coach. Congratulations, Mike. Thank you very much. Ladies here have something for you.
Well, I just want to thank the committee. This is definitely quite an honor to be here tonight. One thing all of us coaches have in common is that we are surrounded by really good players, and we all have great spouses. So I want to thank my wife for being here tonight, and this has been quite an honor and a lot of fun. I also want to say, Chuck, I got inducted before you. Sorry, buddy. That's Chuck Goldfarb. So thank you to everybody, and have a safe weekend. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mike Gaudy. We have the next presentation, please, Roger.
Coach Rick Stotler has built a lasting legacy to soccer in Brevard County. For starters, he guided two Florida Tech men's teams to national titles. In 1988, they beat host school Cal State Northridge 3-2 to win the NCAA Division II title, and the Panthers won the national title again in '91, trouncing Sonoma State 5-1. That season, Coach Stotler lost just 2 games, and he was named Division II and Southern Region Coach of the Year. He was also Sunshine State Conference Coach of the Year in 1988 and '89, and was inducted into the Florida Tech and Sunshine State Conference Halls of Fame in 2001. Rick Stotler was boys soccer coach at Cocoa Beach High School before becoming head coach at Florida Tech in 1986 at the urging of their vice president, Tom Adams. The Panthers posted a record of 190 wins and 66 losses during his 14 years as coach. His win percentage of .731 is among the best all-time in Division II men's college soccer. Rick was very generous in raising money for Florida Tech. The soccer field at the F.W. Olin Sports Complex is named Rick Stotler Field. Coach Stotler had the help of longtime assistant coaches Giles Malone and Homer Bozorg. Together, they created the foundations for their success by recruiting experienced players from the UK and from other countries. A lot of these standout players remained in Central Florida to become successful in business, and also youth soccer coaches in their own right. Rick Stotler was a prominent businessman in Brevard County for more than half a century. He came to Cocoa Beach from his native New York and created many successful organizations. He played 4 years of soccer for the University of Maryland, where he earned a degree in civil engineering. He passed away in December 2010 at the age of 75 after a long illness. However, Coach Stotler's long history of success will remain long in our memories. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we now induct Rick Stotler into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, Coach Stotler will be very proud of his function here tonight, and he has a very good friend of his here tonight who's going to say a few words on his behalf. Mr. Richard Berry, thank you, Dick, for doing that tonight. Rick would have been very proud of that. You're going to take that for his family. Thank you, Dick, very much. Very well said. Next presentation, Roger.
Chuck Goldfarb will go down as one of Brevard's greatest high school baseball coaches. During his years in the county, Goldfarb's teams have won 7 district championships and 6 Cape Coast Conference titles. After the 1999 season, Goldfarb won the Florida Diamond Club's Distinguished Service to Baseball Award, and he likes to take a chance. His gutsy tactical moves as Merritt Island High School's baseball coach helped the Mustangs win consecutive Class 5A state baseball titles in 1999 and 2000. He could have stayed there until retirement, but he moved on to Cocoa High as athletic director, and under his leadership, the Tigers won 3 consecutive football state titles in 2008, 2009, and 2010, and they completed the rare football-basketball double in 2009. Goldfarb was born in Brooklyn, New York, and moved to Merritt Island with his family as a child. He graduated from Merritt Island High School in 1967 and received degrees from Middle Georgia and West Florida universities. His first stint as baseball coach at Merritt Island was from 1975 through 1979, and he returned for another 6 years in 1995. He also helped start the baseball program at West Florida, serving as the school's first baseball coach during the 1981 season. 2000 was possibly his best year at Merritt Island. beating Gonzales Tate and Sarasota 6-5 to win the Class 5A state title. At that time, Gonzales Tate and Sarasota had 8 state titles between them, says Goldfarb. We won the final on a suicide squeeze bunt. I always go for it in everything I've done. In 2000, Goldfarb was named State Coach of the Year, his greatest accolade. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Chuck Goldfarb as our next inductee into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
One of the greatest coaches ever to come out of Brevard County, and a true friend to educators here on the Space Coast. Mr. Chuck Goldfarb, ladies and gentlemen. Chuck, and many congratulations. Thank you.
Obviously, the cheerleading gig put Gowdy over the top and into the hall. I'm honored and I'm humbled by this selection. I'd like to thank the committee. I would like to thank all my family and friends who are here with me tonight to share this. And if I could for a moment, I would like, because you cannot do this by yourself, and every coach in here knows that, and every player knows that. I'd like for my coaches and my players that are here tonight to please stand so I can thank you. Mark, James, Casey, Chris Colella, Jamie, my sons, David Pinkston and Joe Smitelli. Clint Hurdle, stand up. You were there for the first 5 years. I thank you guys. And I would like everybody to say a little prayer tonight, because my wife and my sister-in-law are here tonight putting on a happy face bravely when my mom-in-law is fighting for her life. So I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Goldfarb, a true gentleman, and our prayers are with you tonight. Many more great days ahead for Coach Goldfarb, that's for sure. Next one, please, Roger.
Robin Dolan Keener has been playing top-level tennis for so long that few remember her tennis career almost came to a premature end while she was still in high school. Keener, then known as Dolan, developed a severe case of tennis elbow while she was at Cocoa Beach High in the early 80s. The coach urged her to try playing left-handed. The process was frustrating for Robin, but despite having a weak left arm, she learned fast. Posted a record of 17 wins and no defeats as a sophomore. She had a standout 4-year career at Rollins College, where the Tars played Division I tennis. While there, she was an NCAA academic All-American selection, and she was rewarded with induction into the Rollins Sports Hall of Fame. The ability to learn fast and adjust to difficult circumstances has helped Robin in both her role as teacher and player. She's been the US PTA National Women's 35 Player of the Year 7 times. Keener has been ranked number 1 in women's 35 singles since 2007. She was the captain of the 2006 US International Suzanne Lengland squad that won silver in South Africa. Keener also played international federation matches for the US. She's been a professional coach since 1992 and is the current Director of Tennis at the Swiss Inn Tennis Centre in Rockledge. The legendary Billie Jean King also gave Keener the Women's Sports Foundation All-Star Award for Outstanding Athletic Performance. Robin serves on the USPTA National Tournament Committee, and with her husband Chuck Keener was the local league coordinator for the USTA Women's Leagues on the Space Coast. The two Keeners were also co-coaches of Brevard Community College's women's tennis team. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Robin Dolan Keener as we induct her into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robin Dolan Keener, the greatest female tennis player ever to come out of Brevard County, and a Minuteman as well. Congratulations, Robin. Ladies and gentlemen, Robin Dolan Keena, one more time. A very classy lady indeed. Thank you, Roger.
We pay tribute now to Melbourne Beach veteran Bunny Cederland, a remarkable sportswoman who had 2 careers in the pool, in the spring and in the winter of her remarkable life. Bunny died last year, one short of 90, but she will surely inspire future generations by proving the age-old adage, you're never too old. Christened Agnes, but nicknamed Bunny by husband Walt, she was a master of the backstroke. At the age of 19, she missed out on the 1940 Olympics when the Helsinki Games were cancelled because of World War II. And then marriage to Air Force officer Walt brought an end to her competitive career. Or so she thought. Fast forward nearly half a century, Bunny moves to Florida. And jumping back in the pool the second time round proves just fine for this remarkable lady. In 1992, Bunny found herself ranked number 1 in the US in the Masters Swimming 70 to 74 age category for both the 100 and 200 meters. She posted 234 individual top 10 swims and 14 top 10 listings in relay. She was an individual All-American 13 times and a relay All-American 4 times. She still owns 15 individual US Masters records in 3 age groups. She still has 4 FINA Masters World Records. When she turned 80 during the 2001 season, Bunny was top ranked in the 50, 100 and 200 meters backstroke. At 83, she was number 1 in the 50 meters freestyle with a time of under 50 seconds. And in freestyle again, she was US number 1 in the 100 meters. Bunny died in 2011, leaving 4 children, 7 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let us induct a truly great swimmer, Bunny Cederland, into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, a daughter of Bunny Cederland, Miss Ann Cassidy, came all the way down from the northeast to be with us tonight. A wonderful lady, and certainly a chip off the old block. And thank you so much for coming this evening.
Well, my mom would be so honored to be here tonight. And it's a little hard for me, as you can tell. I'm sorry. But she was awesome. And when she started swimming with the Space Coast Masters team, we just were so thrilled. She missed out on the Olympics, as you heard, and that was a tough thing for her to do. And she made up for it
best women's softball hitters the world has ever seen is tucked away these days into an office in Melbourne. Sherry Lynn France is now the Senior Recreation Supervisor for the City of Melbourne. Only last November, she was one of only 10 players elected to the USSSA National Hall of Fame in a ceremony at Champions Gate Golf Club in Orlando. Sherry graduated from Melbourne High back in 1980 and went on to become one of the game's great power hitters who could hit to all fields. She was also a slick fielding outfielder. During her career, she's earned 6 World Series championships and was named to the All-World Series team in 1998 and 2009. Sherry was the World Series Most Valuable Player in 95 and 2000. She became legendary for regularly hitting mammoth 400-foot home runs. She also won BSC World Series titles 3 years in a row from 2001 through 2003. Sherry was also named to the post-1990s ASA Team of the Decade, and she received honorable mention status for the ASA Women's All-Time Team, missing the first team by just 2 votes. Sherry excelled in basketball. She led Melbourne High School to the Class 3A state title during her senior year with the Bulldogs under coach Cassie Macias. Melbourne beat Belgrade Central 53-52 in the final at Winter Park. Sherry was also a star basketball player for the Panthers at Florida Tech, averaging 28.5 points a game to lead all Division II players during the 1993-94 season. She averaged 14.7 rebounds a game, good enough for 4th in the nation. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Sherry France, our next inductee into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
One of the greatest female athletes ever to come out of Brevard County. Incredible all-round athlete, Miss Sherry France. Come on up, Sherry. Sherry, thank you so much for coming tonight. A truly remarkable woman, an amazing athlete, Miss Sherry France. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Roger.
You might say that Vicky Hurst from Melbourne was born to be a pro golfer. Her mother Coco went into labour while playing the 16th at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. She took up the game not long after she could walk. At just 21, Vicky is now 3 years into her fledgling career on the LPGA Tour. She has come close to that elusive first victory, so don't be surprised if 2012 is her breakthrough year. Vicky is a graduate of Holy Trinity Academy in Melbourne. She turned pro in 2008 at 17 years old, joining the Futures Tour, and doing so well, she won 5 events and just under $100,000. That convinced her to join the LPGA Tour right away. During her school career, Vicky won the Florida Women's State Golf Association Junior Girls Championship and was named their Junior Player of the Year, and then turned down offers from several top schools to turn pro. In 2009, her first season on the LPGA Tour, she made 21 out of 26 cuts, earned $305,000 and came 44th on the money list. She was a top 10 finisher 3 times and led the tour in driving distance at 272.5 yards. 2010 was her best year. Vicky finished second in the Hana Bank Championship in South Korea, her best placing so far. That's special because her mother Coco was born in South Korea. She finished up winning $409,000, jumping 16 places to 28th in the money list and making 19 out of 24 cuts. 2011 saw her make the US Solheim Cup team. winning her singles match as the US lost 15-13 to Europe. In the majors, her highest finish has been a tie for 28th in the Women's British Open, but her best is surely yet to come. And Vicky Hurst of Melbourne will undoubtedly always remain one of our youngest inductees into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Brevard's best ever women's golfer, Vicky Hurst.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vicky is busy winning her next tournament this weekend, we hope. We have someone here to accept her award. Thank you, sir, for coming.
I'm Lenny Paletti. I'm the athletic director for Holy Trinity. Vicky called me yesterday and asked if I would stand in for her. And I told them that it'd be obvious that I'm not her, since she's much better looking than I am and a lot more fit. But she wanted to share with me to you that the honor is incredible to be inducted into the first class in her backyard. I mean, she loves this area, and this just means so much to her. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for doing that for us. Congratulations to Vicky, and we'll all be following her progress on spacecoastdaily.com, I'm sure. Thank you, Roger.
High school athletics coach Doug Butler has never asked his runners to do anything he isn't prepared to do himself. It could be quarter-mile splits on the track or charging up the hills at High Point in Cocoa. It's huge when the kids see that I'm willing to do whatever I ask them to do, says Butler, who has personal bests of 2 hours, 25 minutes in the marathon. This special rapport with his students has helped Holy Trinity Academy rack up 6 Class 1A state titles in girls cross-country. The boys aren't far behind with 5 Class 1A state cross-country titles. In girls track and field, he's won 3 Class 1A state titles. Surprisingly, Butler wasn't a runner in high school. He took up running in the Air Force while stationed in Germany, and later studied in Brevard Community College after leaving the military. He graduated from Barry University, received a master's from Capella. He's combined athletics coaching with a paid job at Boeing. In 2002, he coached Holy Trinity Academy to its first Girls Cross Country Championship, the first of their 3 consecutive titles. And in 2005, the school had their first individual cross-country champion in Kayla Hale. He mentored Kayla as she became one of Florida's greatest high school runners. A year later, Butler led Holy Trinity to its first team title, and again in 2011. And under Butler, Holy Trinity won 3 consecutive team titles from 2004 to 2006. Good coaches seldom get the recognition they deserve. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let's induct Doug Butler into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Doug Butler. We've had an incredible response from the community tonight as so many people are following him here. And Coach, many congratulations as we induct you into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you very much.
Those that know me know I like to write 20-page speeches, so I kept it down to 1 page tonight. I didn't want to forget anybody that I need to thank. I'd like to thank Mr. Malone, Tom Palermo, Dr. Jim Palermo, and everyone at Maverick Multimedia, Rusty Buchanan, everyone at Space Coast Sports Promotion, all those at the Bright Health Network, Mr. Karasotis, I've known for 25 years running here on the Space Coast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Doug Butler, Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you, Coach. Next presentation, please.
The name of Kayla Hale is never likely to disappear from the record books of Florida High School Athletics Association. While at Holy Trinity Academy, she claimed 4 consecutive Class 1A cross-country state titles from 2005 and 5 Class 1A track and field titles in the 3,200 meters. Her coach, the legendary Doug Butler, described her as coachable as anyone could get. She graduated in 2009 and enrolled at Duke University, where she's running cross-country. The 5-foot 5-inch resident of Indialantic won her first state title in track and field as a 7th grader in 2004, when she won the 3,200 meters in a time of 11 minutes 31 seconds. In the fall of 2005, she won her first cross-country title with a 5K time of 18 minutes 30 seconds. In the spring of 2006, as a freshman, she helped Holy Trinity win their first team title in track and field. And that fall, as a sophomore, a first place in 5K boosted Holy Trinity to the cross-country title. In the spring of 2007, Kayla won 2 individual events for the first time in track and field. In cross-country that fall as a senior, Kayla won her 4th consecutive championship. She capped her high school career with another double in the spring of 2009. Kayla, who's now 20, ran the prestigious Foot Locker cross-country race 3 times in high school. 2008 and 2009, she was a Nike Indoor National All-America in the 2-mile run. Now at Duke University, she still has plenty of time to win new titles. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's time now to induct Kayla Hale into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, Kayla's winning some new titles for us away, but we have a relative here who's going to accept on Kayla's behalf. Another great product from coaching Doug Butler. Congratulations, sir. Thank you for coming this evening.
I'm Jim Hale. I'm Kayla's dad. Unfortunately, Kayla couldn't be here tonight. She's running with her Duke team in Princeton, attempting to qualify for the NCAA regionals at 10,000 meters. So I might be checking my phone. I know Kayla wanted me to share with you that she was extremely honored and incredibly humbled to be included in this inaugural class, and I wanted to thank the selection committee. In addition, I know that she would want to thank God, who gives her inner strength when some days the outer strength is not there. And I know she would want to thank her mother, my wife, Sue Hale, who, before Kayla could drive, would get her to those 6 a.m. practices every day that Coach Butler held. And lastly, but not certainly not least, she would want to thank Coach Butler, who coached her, who trained her, and who helped her believe that she could accomplish all that she accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Sue, for coming this evening and honoring Kayla. Terrific parents, leading to a terrific career for Kayla. Kayla is our first inductee into the prep section of the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. As we move now to our next presentation.
Leon Bright did not believe in fair catches, and it didn't matter if it was high school, college, the Canadian Football League, or the NFL. Leon did believe in exciting play. Just ask any longtime fan of Merritt Island High School football. During the 1972 season, when Merritt Island won the Class 4A state championship, Bright scored 24 touchdowns and racked up 146 points. After graduating from Merritt Island, Bright accepted a football scholarship from Florida State University. He made an impact right away. Bright led FSU with 4 touchdowns and 24 points. Bright led the Seminoles in rushing the next season with 713 yards on 162 carries. The 5'9", 175-pound Bright was inactive for the 76 season at Florida State. That spring, Bright signed with the BC Lions of the Canadian Football League. He was named the CFL's most outstanding rookie as the Lions finished the regular season with a 10-6 record. He went on to have a stellar career in the CFL through 1980. Bright joined the NFL's New York Giants for the 1981 season and rushed for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. In 1982 with the Giants, Bright led the entire NFL in punt returns with an average of 8.8 yards per return. During the 1983 season, his last with the Giants, Bright returned 17 punts for 117 yards. Bright joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for his final 2 years in the NFL, where he remained one of the game's premier kick returners. Bright, who was an assistant coach at Deltona Trinity Christian this past season, also has been an assistant coach for DeLand High, Atlantic High, and Lighthouse Christian Academy. In his free time, Bright runs the Leon Bright Charitable Foundation. His foundation helps families and underprivileged children. This former big play performer continues to have a big, generous heart. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you local legend Leon Bright as our next inductee into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Leon Bright, another one of our great prep inductees into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. Well said. Leon Bright, ladies and gentlemen, a true gentleman and a real class act. Leon Bright, Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame prep inductee. Next presentation, please, Roger.
We could well see the former Satellite High standout soccer player Ashlyn Harris featured on our TV screens this summer. Ashlyn is battling for a spot on the US women's soccer team for the 2012 London Olympics. She's one of 4 goalies in the player pool. Good luck, Ashlyn. As the starting goalie for the Western New York Flash last summer, Ashlyn helped the expansion Flash win the Women's Professional Soccer Championship. She was named the 2011 Coast Guard Goalkeeper of the Year. At the University of North Carolina, Ashlyn helped the Tar Heels win their 20th NCAA title in the 28-year history of the tournament. She posted a shutout as North Carolina blanked Stanford 1-0 in the final. She was named to the 2009 Women's College Cup tournament team, allowing only 10 goals in just over 2,000 minutes. North Carolina won their final 11 matches. In the 2002 FIFA Under-19 Women's World Championship, Ashlyn was in goal as the US beat Canada 1-0 in overtime in front of nearly 50,000 hostile fans at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The US won each of its 6 matches, and Ashlyn was the youngest player in the squad. 2 years later, she was again in goal in the Under-19 World Championships in Thailand. The team won 5 of its 6 matches, but they lost in the semi-final to Germany. In her high school career, Harris helped Satellite High School win 2 Class 3A state titles. During her senior year, she was the Player of the Year for Parade Magazine, the National Soccer Coaches Association of America, and Gatorade National Girls Soccer. What a career she's had so far. And as goalkeepers generally last longer than outfield players, the best years for Ashlyn Harris are probably still to come. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we honour Ashlyn Harris with induction to the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Ashlyn Harris telephoned us yesterday. She actually flew back into Brevard yesterday, and she's flying back out today, actually, for a training camp. They're playing China this weekend up in Philadelphia, so tune in to your televisions, and you'll see a local star, local hero, Ashlyn Harris, representing our country. Ashlyn's got a very good career ahead of her. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll accept this on behalf of Ashlyn and Fiji Haig, her coach, and we'd like to thank you, and she'd like to thank you for the recognition. Next presentation, please, Roger.
Clint Hurdle knows about the Sports Illustrated jinx. He was featured on the cover of the March 20th, 1978 issue as an up-and-coming star with the Kansas City Royals. The former Merritt Island High standout never fully lived up to his billing as a baseball player, but he has been highly successful in his second career as a manager for both the Colorado Rockies and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Former Merritt Island baseball coach Chuck Goldfarb has fond memories of Hurdle. "I've known him since he was 12, said Goldfarb. "Clint had by far the most talent of any player I ever had." Hurdle graduated as a standout from Merritt Island High in 1975 and was taken by the Kansas City Royals in the first round of the Major League Baseball amateur draft. In 5 seasons with the Royals, Hurdle's best season was 1980 when Kansas City won the American League pennant. Hurdle hit .294 with 10 home runs and 60 runs batted in. The Royals then fell in 6 games to the Philadelphia Phillies in the World Series. Hurdle played well, recording 5 hits and 12 at-bats for a .417 batting average. Hampered by injuries in 1981, Hurdle played just 28 games but hit .329. Clint later played for the Reds, the Mets, and the Cardinals before returning to New York, where he retired as a Met. Hurdle finished his playing career after 10 seasons, compiling a .259 batting average. The Mets named Hurdle the manager of the St. Lucie Mets, and he managed in their organization through 1993. He then changed organizations in 1994 when the Colorado Rockies made him their minor league hitting instructor. He became the Rockies manager in 2002. In 2007, the exciting Rockies won 15 of their final 16 games to make the playoffs. Hurdle's Rockies then swept the Philadelphia Phillies and the Arizona Diamondbacks to reach the World Series for the first time ever. The dream season soon ended, however, when the Boston Red Sox swept Colorado in 4 games to win the World Series. Hurdle was fired by the Rockies in 2009. He helped the Texas Rangers reach the World Series in 2010 as the team's hitting instructor. Hurdle was interviewed for managerial positions after that season. He signed a 3-year deal with the Pirates. He entered the 2012 season with 606 managerial victories. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we induct a proven winner into our Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. We give you Clint Hurdle.
Good evening, Giles. Good evening, Peter. Hello, Mom and Dad. I'm very thankful, very humbled by the opportunity to have my mom and dad represent me tonight at the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame inaugural induction ceremony. So many wonderful athletes, so many great athletes from our area being honored this evening. Thanks and congratulations, especially to Wilbur and Chris, guys that I know and competed against. But most importantly, to everybody involved, it's a wonderful ceremony. The true Hall of Famers will be my mom and dad that will be accepting on my behalf today, and hopefully my dad will have a brief something to share with you. They truly have been with me through all the tough times, from birth until now, and they're still with me. So thanks to everybody involved. Have a wonderful evening. Congratulations to all the inductees, and thank you. I'm honored and I'm humbled.
Ladies and gentlemen, Clint's father, Mr. Clint Hurdle, Sr.
Happy to follow that. Jeez. Well, you're very fortunate tonight because Clint isn't here because he has a tendency to talk. I'm going to make it very short. I want to thank the Space Coast committee for this opportunity and for everyone impressed to be here because the parents, we don't get a lot of time to do things like this. Children want to be proud and really good. The thing I'd like to say to anybody here is that children live for the moment. Don't take things for granted. You want to find out sometimes what your plans happen. So enjoy. And
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Clint and Louise Hurdle, for joining us tonight as well. Clint's such a good ambassador for the Space Coast, and we can see why. Thank you very much, Mr. Hurdle and Louise. Next presentation, please.
We pay tribute now to Coco's Dr. Zundra Fagan-Aubrey, leader on the track and in the classroom. Zundra won 7 individual state track titles as a sprinter at Coco High before going on to star at Louisiana State University, where she won the 200 meters in the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships in 1996. In that same meet, she ran third leg as LSU won the 400-meter relay. At Coco High, in her sophomore year in 1989, she set a state record in the 100 meters with 11.4 seconds that stood until 2010. In 1990 at Coco High, she won the 100 and 200 meters in the USA Juniors. She won 200 silver and 400 relay bronze for the US at the World Juniors. For 4 consecutive years, Zundra was the All-Space Coast Runner of the Year. Her personal bests are 11.18 in the 100 and 22.3 in the 200, both set in 1996. During her standout season that same year, she helped LSU win their 10th consecutive NCAA title, Women's Outdoor Track and Field. 1996 also saw Zundra fall just short in her bid to make the US Olympic team for the Atlanta Games. In 97, she ran 22.92 in the semi-finals of the World Championships for 200. At the time, she was ranked US number 4. After graduating from LSU in 96 with a bachelor's degree in speech communications, Zundra taught English in Jacksonville for the Duval County School District before becoming an assistant principal. She later received a master's degree in educational leadership from Nova Southeastern and a doctorate in organizational leadership with a specialization in conflict resolution, mediation, and negotiation. Prior to becoming the principal at Westside K through 8 in Kissimmee, Zundra was Westside's assistant principal. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Dr. Zundra Fagan-Aubrey as we induct her into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zundra Fagan-Aubrey, tremendous athlete and ambassador for the Space Coast, as we induct Zundra into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Wow, what an honor. I'm so humbled to be here. And first I want to say thank you to God because I know without him I would not be able to stand here and just be able to just say thank you for all of the blessings that he has bestowed on my life, not only in track but throughout my personal life as well as now as an educator.
Zunder Fagernorgi, ladies and gentlemen. Tremendous athlete and now a tremendous educator helping our youth. Wonderful. Thank you, Roger.
Bob Anderson of Cocoa was one of college and Army football's greatest players in the 50s. But if medical sports science had been as good then as it is now, Bob would have undoubtedly had a great pro career too. The long-term injuries to his right knee forced him to quit after just one game with the New York Giants. Bob Anderson was a graduate of Cocoa High in 1956, a superb athlete starring in football, basketball, baseball, track and field. He was Brevard County's leading rusher and scorer in football 3 times. As a freshman, Cocoa football coach Chuck Klein named Anderson the starting quarterback. He was good enough to play pro baseball, but when legendary Army coach Red Blake came calling, Anderson went to West Point. As a sophomore, Anderson was one of the finest players in the country. He rushed for 983 yards and 12 touchdowns on 153 carries. Army finished 7-2 in 1957 and ranked 13th in the country. Anderson was a consensus selection for the 1957 college football All-American team. During his junior year, Anderson helped Army to a number 3 ranking and was named to the All-American team once again. But in his second game as a senior, he sustained the injury that would ruin his chances for a successful career in the NFL. He shunned the injury, preferring to soldier on through the whole campaign for the good of the football team, missing only 1 game. Anderson scored both of Army's touchdowns in the historic first-ever matchup between Air Force and Army at the original Yankee Stadium, a game that finished tied at 13. After graduation, Anderson served 3 years as a lieutenant in the 101st Airborne Division before signing with the New York Giants. He scored a touchdown in an exhibition game against the Los Angeles Rams, but the knee injuries were too much to overcome, and he played just 1 regular season game before he was released. In 2004, Anderson was named to the College Football Hall of Fame. And now, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we call Bob Anderson to be inducted into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Mr. Bob Anderson, ladies and gentlemen, a living legend here on the Space Coast. Bob, let's have a few words there.
First, I'd like to congratulate my fellow inductees. It's a wonderful thing to be recognized in I had great coaching in high school, great coaching in college, and I had a great big brother. Ironically, I went to West Point and spent 3 years before I joined the Giants in the military. He went to Georgia Tech and ended up spending 37 years in the Air Force. Got out as a 2-star general, was a first lieutenant when I graduated, or got out. Congratulate the Space Coast. This wonderful evening. And congratulate my fellow inductees. And I'd like for Space Coast to give some thought to real heroes that covered this area. Brother being one of them, 2-star general. How many missions they fly over Vietnam on exchange duty with the Navy, as an Air Force. Those are the great heroes. Thank you for the evening.
Very well said. Thank you, Bob. Much appreciated. Thank you, Roger.
Reggie Nelson is earning himself an outstanding reputation in the NFL. He He's found a good home with the Cincinnati Bengals, who signed him to a 4-year deal this past March, after he briefly considered signing with the New York Jets. It's good to be wanted. Nelson is a former Palm Bay High School and University of Florida standout. He was selected by the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first round of the 2007 NFL Draft. Last season, Nelson helped the Bengals earn a playoff berth with a 9-7 regular season record. He made 85 tackles, had 2 sacks, and 4 interceptions, one of which was returned 75 yards for a touchdown against the Seattle Seahawks, the 5th longest interception return in Bengals history. Reggie was born in Melbourne in 1983 and helped Palm Bay High School win the Class 4A title under Coach Dan Burke in 2002. Nelson was named first-team All-State in both his junior and senior years. In 2007, the Florida High School Athletic Association named Nelson to its All-Century team. He was honored as one of the best Florida high school football players in the past 100 years, and he made the NGCAA All-American and All-Jayhawk Conference first teams. While at the University of Florida, he helped the Gators win a national title and was consensus first-team All-American selection, and he won the coveted Jack Tatum Trophy as the top collegiate defensive back. Now with the Cincinnati Bengals and still in his 20s, Reggie Nelson is looking to build a lasting career in the NFL. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Reggie Nelson, our next inductee into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, Reggie is in training camp with the Bengals. He sends his sincere apologies for not being here tonight. He is working hard for a great season upcoming. We'll be passing on his award to Reggie up at Bengals camp, and he'd want to thank the committee. Next presentation, please.
Mitzi Kramer is one of the greatest women swimmers to come out of Brevard County. As a senior at Titusville High School in 1985, Mitzi won the Class 3A 200-yard freestyle title. That's the only state individual title that a girl swimmer from Titusville has ever won. But it was at Clemson University that Mitzi shot to national prominence. In 1987, she won national titles in the 200 and 500 freestyle, and this earned her a place in the U.S. team for the 1988 Olympics in Seoul, South Korea. In the 400 freestyle relay final, Mitzi won a bronze swimming the second leg. East Germany won the gold. After the Olympics, Kramer returned to Clemson University and won 2 more NCAA titles. She earned All-America status 16 times at Clemson, was a 5-time Atlantic Coast Conference champion. She led Clemson to 3 consecutive ACC championships, and she became the first swimmer to be inducted into the Clemson Hall of Fame in 1994. She still holds 4 ACC records and 5 with Clemson. Mitzi won 2 golds at the Pan Pacific Championships in Australia and 2 more in the Summer Universiade in Zagreb. In 1989 in Tokyo, Kramer repeated her success in the Pan Pacific Championships with 2 more freestyle golds. After retiring from competition, Mitzi was swim coach at Titusville High School in the mid-1990s, and she founded the Titusville Orcas swim team. When she moved to Tampa, Mitzi was coach at Tampa Palms Country Club, and later at the New Tampa YMCA. Now aged 44, she recently became director at the YMCA Aquatic Center in Orlando. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let's induct Mitzi Kramer into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Yes, Mitzi also sends her regrets this evening. She was going to be here at the last moment. She had to make other arrangements for a family matter. But what an incredible lady, an incredible athlete, and making a huge contribution here still in Brevard County to pass on that legacy. So thank you, Mitzi. And she would have been very proud to be here tonight. Next presentation, please, Roger.
Matt Walters jokes with his buddies about one day seeing the other side of 200 pounds. It could happen. The former O'Galley High, Miami Hurricanes, and New York Jets defensive lineman has been working out with Coach Ed Donner and other friends on an informal basis. His weight now fluctuates between 210 and 215 pounds. That's a long way from the 272 pounds he used to carry on his 6'5" frame. I enjoyed the NFL, but battling the injuries gets old, Walters said. Part of me is relieved, but part of me misses the NFL. After finishing his college career with the Miami Hurricanes, Walters was selected by the New York Jets in the 5th round of the 2003 NFL Draft. Walters played in 11 games for the Jets during the 2003 season. He had 5 tackles and 1 fumble recovery. Herman Edwards, the Jets coach, reluctantly cut Walters late in the 2004 training camp. He later signed with the Miami Dolphins, but he did not play because of injuries. Walters, who majored in mechanical engineering at University of Miami and also earned his master's degree by attending summer school, still might be playing in the NFL if it weren't for the nagging injury sustained during his senior year with Miami. I played through a groin injury as a senior at Miami, said Walters. It finally healed about a year and a half later after Matt retired from the NFL. In 2001, during his junior year at Miami, the Hurricanes were storming to what eventually would be a 12-0 record and a national championship. A big interception by Walters helped preserve both the undefeated season and the opportunity for a national title. Miami went on to face Nebraska in the Rose Bowl, winning 38-17 to claim their 5th national championship. Walters, who is now an engineer for Northrop Grumman in Melbourne, played under the tutelage of Dan Higgins and Paul Friel at O'Galley High School. My tip for high school players is to practice hard, Walters said. Some players think that if they're better, they don't have to practice so hard. If you practice hard, you play well. Great advice from a proven local success story. So now, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we induct Matt Walters into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matt Walters. £215, looking very good, Matt. Congratulations.
I really am humbled to be here tonight and to receive this honor. Look out to see the great athletes and coaches that we're getting inducted into this still had this playing, and then the years since then, I just
Congratulations. A true gentleman carving out a new career here on the Space Coast. Matt Walters, ladies and gentlemen. Next presentation, please.
Softball star Kelly Kreshman is a former standout of Satellite High School and the University of Alabama. She won gold in the 2004 Olympics in Athens and silver at Beijing 4 years later. But she'll just be watching on TV this time around for London 2012, as softball is no longer an Olympic sport. Kelly starred in softball, basketball, soccer, and volleyball for Satellite High School. She was a 4-time All-American with the University of Alabama from 1998 through 2001. As a freshman at Alabama in 1998, Kelly led the nation in home runs with 28. Her slugging percentage was also the best in the United States. She set school and conference records for batting average, home runs, hits, and slugging percentage, and was named to the SEC first team. Alabama reached the Women's College World Series for the first time, and she was picked for the all-tournament team. She finished her collegiate career with 60 home runs. In 2005, Kretschmann began what has been a successful career in National Pro Fast Pitch. During her first year in the league, she played for the Akron Racers. In 2006, she played for the Connecticut Burkettes. Both teams won the Coles Cup. In 2007, Kretschmann played for the Washington Glory and helped them to win the Coles Cup. After taking a year out to concentrate on the Olympics, Kelly returned to play for the USSSA Pride, based in Kissimmee. And again, she helped her latest team win the Coles Cup in 2010. She hit 7 home runs. During her 6 seasons in National Pro Fast Pitch, Kretschmann hit 21 home runs. Her upcoming NPF season begins June 7th. Kelly is a volunteer assistant coach at the University of Maryland. She previously was an assistant coach for University of Kentucky and University of Alabama. That's her story so far, and she still has a few chapters left to write in her professional career. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Kelly Kretschmann, a much-deserving inductee into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Susan and Kenneth Kretschmann to accept on behalf of Kelly this evening. Warm welcome.
Kelly was unable to be here tonight as she is currently coaching at the University of Maryland and is hoping to make postseason, and we'll find out Sunday evening. She wanted me to thank the committee and all of the people that made this happen tonight, because she is very proud and honored to be a part of the Space Coast first class of inductees. She also wanted me to thank all of the inductees that are being inducted tonight with her. She is, again, proud and honored to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kretschmann. Give our best to Kelly. We go forward in the playoffs. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our coaching, our amateur, our prep, and our collegiate divisions of the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. We now move into the final phase of our ceremony this evening. And when the committee was putting together all the different categories, looking at the ways to honor our incredible people here on the Space Coast, the committee came up with a category called a Lifetime Achievement Award. This person is this award goes to a person who really contributes on an overall basis to the goodwill and the good support of our community. It's a very, very important award, and tonight we'd like to give this to a very special person, Mr. Bill Sargent. Roger.
Outdoor sports writer Bill Sargent can't keep track of all the writing awards he's earned. There are contests every year, and Sargent has reeled in awards each year he's submitted an entry. More often than not, he has received multiple awards. Bill retired as the outdoors editor at Florida Today in 2007. After 39 years at the newspaper, Sargent was the president of the Florida Outdoors Writers Association in the early 1970s, at a time when he won a national award for black and white photography. He took the picture during a fishing trip to Lake Marion when he saw a dead cormorant hanging in a tree. The bird had become entangled in fishing line. When the line snagged on a tree limb, the bird died. He told a story of what can happen when used fishing line is not discarded properly. Bill Sargent was born in Melbourne in 1941, graduating from Melbourne High and coming away with an English degree from Muskingum University in New Concord, Ohio, before returning home to Melbourne. In 1968, Bill took a full-time job with the Melbourne Times and began writing an outdoors column. had been writing about outdoor subjects for the Times since he was in high school. 6 months later, Florida Today, then known simply as Today, hired him as a general sports and outdoors writer, a dual role that continued for 15 years until he became the full-time outdoors editor. Understandably, Sargent came to know many ball players, coaches and celebrities. Many would pull him aside for advice on fishing. Some even fished with him. Sir Edmund Hillary, the first to climb Mount Everest, went fishing with Sargent on the Indian River. Another time, while fishing with Dick Punt Jr., son of the owner of Cypress Gardens, Bill caught a 90-pound tarpon on fly rod for one of his most remarkable catches. Bill recalls the plentiful times in the St. John's River and the Indian River Lagoon system. He says it's heartbreaking now to see resources ruined by population growth and pollution. Outdoor sports writers in these parts will be looking to emulate Bill Sargent for a long, long time. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Bill Sargent as we induct him into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
A true living legend here on the Space Coast, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Sargent. I'd love to hear some stories about that fishing adventure with Sir Edmund Hillary. That must have been something, Bill. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. Word humble's been used a lot here tonight, but I'm certainly humbled by being a newspaper writer up here with all these stars and all these great athletes and all these people that have achieved so much. And I just hope that maybe as a newspaper writer and outdoor writer that we've been able to reflect some of their stories to the public. I've earned a fair number of awards in my life, but this one is the best ever. This is a fantastic award, something that I'm certainly very gracious for. To be chosen for the Hall of Fame is unbelievably gratifying, and it's an honor not only for myself but also for my family. They were the ones who had to put up with all those years of travel, all those thousands of stories, all those weekend tournaments, all the trips to camps and marinas and wherever else we had to go, and all the mess dinners at home. To show my appreciation, I'd like to recognize my wife Barbara, my son Brian, and my daughter Jennifer. And I want to thank them for all their love and support for all those years. And they also thank the kids for reminding me, Dad, people really are reading your stuff. Sometimes you wonder in this world. Also tonight, Jennifer is being escorted by her fiancé, Jerry Flood. I want to thank all the officials and staff from the organizations that's responsible here tonight. Maverick Multimedia, Space Coast Sports Promotions, and Right House Networks. And not only just for my award, but also for having the foresight to establish this Hall of Fame for this great area of the state of Florida. No doubt it will stand as a shining tribute to the many other people who are equally deserving of this recognition. Who would have ever thought that Bill Sargent would be standing here tonight with all these other greats in this inaugural class? It was really beyond my wildest dreams. And I just want to say thank you very much.
Well, as the committee was deliberating on the Hall of Fame this year, we all sat around at many meetings, many deliberations, and what was very interesting coming out of those meetings was that Bill Sargent's name was unanimously put forth by all the people on the committee, and truly have a tremendous respect for the indelible mark that his work has made on the Space Coast. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill Sargent. Our next category, again, the committee wanted to create a category that really stood out for a person who had vision, a vision for the future of the Space Coast, and had the bold steps to move forward in a very aggressive direction. And so the Sports Visionary Award was created. And if you have been paying any attention to Florida Tech lately, and have been seeing the incredible growth of that university down in Melbourne, we're all very excited as a former Panther myself, as the great bright future for Florida Tech athletics. Incredible coaches like Fitzgerald Haig, Robin Chan on the soccer program are now matched by an incredible force moving forward with the Florida Tech football program. And that is all down to our next recipient of the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame, Dr. Anthony Cantonese. Thank you, Roger.
In all of the years that Dr. Anthony Cantonese has served as a college administrator, his support for athletics has never wavered. He's transformed the landscape of athletics at universities he's led and has had his finger on the pulse of what's important to local communities and to the day-to-day lives of the average sports fan. Through his strong leadership at Florida Tech, Brevard County is now getting a long-awaited college football program, which is testament to the ability of Cantonese to move ideas from concept to reality. Tony played many sports through school, and his passion for athletics grew as he moved on to college, completing undergraduate studies at Rutgers University, obtaining a master's at New York University, and earning a doctorate from the University of Wisconsin at Madison. Cantonese entered a career in college administration, and he observed how athletics was a source of community pride while serving at the University of Florida, the University of Miami, and at the Georgia Institute of Technology. Moving to Florida Tech as president in 2002, Tony has been the driving force in boosting the school's athletics program to now offer competition in 21 sports, which includes lacrosse, track and field, swimming and diving, and finally for Florida Tech, starting practices this fall for college football. And he's taken bold measures to ensure that Florida Tech's football program will be successful from kickoff, hiring Steve Engelhardt, a proven head coach with the highest winning percentage in high school history. My vision for football at Florida Tech, says Tony, is to win a national championship. I think we can be very competitive, and we're going to have fun. He says it'll be a source of great pride for Brevard County and the Space Coast. So, added to an illustrious career as a college administrator, Dr. Tony Cantonese can be very proud of his achievements in the field of sport and the legacy he will leave. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Tony Cantonese, the latest inductee into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
I am so honored and proud to receive the Visionary Award from the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. This means a lot to me, and I sincerely appreciate it. I only wish I could be with you this evening, but I'm in Philadelphia, helping out with our men's and women's crew teams at the Dad Vale Regatta, which is the national championship for college rowing. And I'm especially proud of this particular shell that bears my name. This is the shell that won the Head of the Charles Regatta last year and then took the silver medal at the Dad Vale. We then went on to England at the Royal Henley Regatta. And I know we're going to do even better this year. We now have 21 intercollegiate athletic teams at Florida Tech, 11 of them created within the last 8 or 9 years, because we have something to prove. We want to prove that a great academic and research university can also have great athletics teams. We want to prove that good students can also be great athletes. And of course, next year, we start football at Florida Tech. It is not too early to get your ticket for the opening game, September 7th, 2013, Florida Tech versus Stetson University. And of course, get season tickets for all of our Gulf South Conference games. We're going to see you there at a whole new era for college sports in the Space Coast. Again, thank you so very much for this honor.
Mr. Wes Sumner from Florida Tech Communications will accept on behalf of Dr. Katniss. Wes, welcome.
Thank you very much. Again, quite an honor for Florida Tech, certainly for Dr. Tony Katniss. He sends word from Philadelphia that the FIT rowers have advanced to the semifinals tomorrow. So I'll be watching on, I believe it's ESPN3 for that, and many more athletic accomplishments to come. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Wes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Well, as Tom Palermo, our publisher, mentioned earlier, this is all being beamed live around the world via the World Wide Web, and we're very proud to say that SpaceCoastDaily.com will be broadcasting the Florida Tech matches live as well, so you'll be able to see that wherever you are in the world. That concludes our special category awards. Now we move on to the big boys. We're moving on to the Pro Division folks, the last 4 inductees for this evening. First of which, Mr. Chris Collinsworth. Roger, next presentation, please.
Chris Collinsworth was a giant on the football field, and that gave him the insight to be the same in the broadcasting booth. So let's start with his career as a broadcaster. Chris first attracted a following as a sports radio talk host for WLW in Cincinnati, and then switched to TV as a reporter for HBO's Inside the NFL in 1989. He's been both a studio host and a color commentator for NBC, Fox, and the NFL Network. He was part of NBC's broadcast team for the 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing and for the 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver. He's won no fewer than 5 Emmy Awards. So back in time to his sporting career. Chris starred in football, basketball, track and field, and baseball for Astronaut High School. In his first game for University of Florida, Collinsworth tied a collegiate record with a 99-yard scoring pass as they beat the Rice Owls. In a 3-year stretch, he was named All-Southeastern Conference first team each season, and he helped the Gators record one of the biggest improvements in college football history. But some scouts thought Collinsworth was too slight, at 6'5" and 192 pounds for the NFL. But the Cincinnati Bengals took a chance on him, and he proved them all wrong. He caught 67 passes for 1,009 yards and 8 touchdowns as a rookie, and helped his Bengals reach the '82 Super Bowl, falling to the San Francisco 49ers. During the '86 season, he had a career-high 10 touchdowns. In 1988, he helped the Bengals reach their second Super Bowl, again falling to the Niners. In 107 regular season games in the NFL, Chris Collinsworth had 417 receptions for 6,698 yards and 36 touchdowns. He and his wife Holly have 4 children. His son plays football at the University of Notre Dame. Following in his dad's footsteps, maybe? Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Chris Collinsworth as we induct this giant of football and broadcasting into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, Chris sends his sincerest regrets. His broadcasting career had some demands on him this weekend that he couldn't be here, but he sends his thanks to the committee, and his family is very appreciative. Dr. Collinsworth, of course, will be in Orlando at the same time. Our next presentation, please, Roger.
Born Wilbur Jr. in 1962, Wilbur Marshall was an outstanding defensive football player, starring throughout his long pro career as linebacker from 1984 to 1995. Wilbur made his mark with Astronaut High School, University of Florida Gators, and most notably the Chicago Bears and Washington Redskins in the NFL. His honors include NFL Defensive Player of the Year for AP, Sports Illustrated, and ABC Television, 3-time All-Southeastern Conference First Teamer, Ring of Honor for the Florida Gators, College Football Hall of Fame inductee, Parade Magazine All-American High School Football Player of the Year, and All-Century Team picked by the Florida High School Athletic Association. His performance highlights are numerous, but here are the best of them. He helped establish the Gators among the elite of college football. His record with the Gators reads 343 tackles and 23 quarterback sacks. In his second season with the Chicago Bears in 1984, Marshall starred for one of the top defensive units in NFL history. That Bears team went 15-1 and defeated the New England Patriots 46-10 in Super Bowl 20. Marshall had one sack and recovered one fumble in that Super Bowl victory. During the NFC Conference Championship game that season, Marshall returned a fumble 52 yards for a touchdown in a 24-zip victory against the Los Angeles Rams. In the 1992 Super Bowl, Marshall was starring for the Washington Redskins as they defeated the Buffalo Bills 37-24. During his NFL career, Wilbur made 1,043 tackles. He had 45 sacks and he intercepted 23 passes. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Wilbur Marshall as we induct this truly great football player into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
One of Space Coast's greatest sons, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wilbur Marshall. Thank you, Wilbur. Congratulations, my friend. Indeed. Incredible amount of talent that's come out of this county. It's absolutely staggering when you think about it, folks. This small county that we have, just 500,000 people, still growing, of course, but to think of the actual talent that exists here, the coaching, the high school, the amateur, visionaries that we have, and of course the pros like Wilbur. Just an incredible indictment for the Space Coast. This next gentleman needs no introduction. Roger, next presentation, please.
Kelly Slater isn't just a surfer. He's acted, played in a band. He's a regular in the Pebble Beach AT&T Pro-Am golf tournament, and he's discussed how to clean up the world's oceans with leading politicians. So don't be surprised about what Kelly Slater does in the future. But not just yet, as this Renaissance man still has more surfing to do. Kelly's won no fewer than 11 World Surfing Championships, and he doesn't appear to be slowing down yet. When he does finally quit competition, it will be on his own terms. Kelly is a graduate of Cocoa Beach High School, claiming his first pro title in 1990 while still in school. He has a grand total of 55 professional victories all over the globe, 48 of them coming in World Championship Tour events. He won his first World Tour title in 1992 at the age of 20, the youngest man to win a World Surfing Championship. But now, he's also the oldest world champion at 40, claiming his 11th title last November. He won 5 consecutive world titles in the 90s, and then left the sport for 3 years at the age of 27 to pursue other interests. During this semi-retirement, because he just couldn't abandon his surfboard completely, he won his 5th Pipeline Masters, one of the most prestigious events in the world. And so to his achievements out of the water. Kelly played Jimmy Slade in 10 episodes of Baywatch in the 90s, and he's acted in more than 20 movies. In In 1998, he and fellow surfers Rob Machado and Peter King formed a band called, oddly enough, The Surfers. Kelly also performed with Pearl Jam in 2006. His video game, Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer, was released in 2002. He's published 2 autobiographies. Kelly learned to surf at 3rd Street North in Cocoa Beach with his brothers Sean and Stephen. Kelly Slater is truly one of the greatest sons of Cocoa Beach. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Kelly Slater as we induct this surfing legend into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Wow, yes indeed. One of Cocoa Beach's favorite sons. He is winging his way back from Brazil as we speak. He got injured, of course, this past week. He wasn't able to get here just in time for the ceremony, but his family and friends, thank you. In fact, folks, our own videographer in the very back of the room who's doing our live webcast tonight, Mr. John Ross, he's got some very interesting tales. John followed Kelly around the world for a year for Quicksilver, doing a video, sort of videographing all of Kelly's life. So if you want any interesting stories on Kelly, John, you'll be seeing some people at the end of this, I'm sure. As we move now forward to our last video of the evening, folks, many of our stars will be here afterwards, and as you can see, many of these posters will be available. I'm sure they'll be happy to sign them for you after the ceremony is over. As we move into our last video presentation, thank you, Roger.
Tim Wakefield, knuckleball pitcher extraordinaire, earned 200 Major League victories, with 186 of those coming with the Boston Red Sox, 3rd highest in their franchise history. At the age of 45, Tim Wakefield became the oldest player to appear for Boston. He's just announced his retirement, but don't expect Tim's charity to end there. He'll continue to raise money for the Space Coast Early Intervention Center, a not-for-profit preschool for children with developmental delays. After graduating from O'Galley High School, Wakefield enrolled at Florida Tech, where he played first base for Coach Les Hall. In 1987, he hit a school record 22 home runs, but in the Major League Amateur Baseball draft, minor league manager Woody Hike saw Wakefield throwing a knuckleball during warm-ups. That's when Tim's career as a pitcher began. In 1992, the Pittsburgh Pirates promoted Wakefield to the major leagues. He went 8-1 with a scant earned run average of only 2.15 as the Pirates won the National League East. He then won 2 games for the Pirates in the 1992 National League Championship Series against the Atlanta Braves. Pittsburgh released Wakefield during the 1994 season, and the Boston Red Sox shrewdly signed him to a minor league deal. His best years for the Red Sox were in 1995 and 98, and in 2002, 2005, and in 2007. In 2009, he was named to the American League All-Star team. In 2004, Wakefield helped Boston win the American League Championship Series after initially trailing the New York Yankees 3-0. The Red Sox won the next 4 games, 2 of them in extra innings, to complete the first comeback from a 3-0 deficit in Major League Baseball history. Boston then swept the St. Louis Cardinals to win their first World Series title since 1918. 3 years later, Wakefield and Boston won another World Series in a sweep against the Colorado Rockies. Tim is not a stranger to Halls of Fame. He was inducted into the Florida Tech Sports Hall of Fame in 1993, and the school retired his number 3 jersey in 2006. He was also inducted into the Sunshine State Conference Hall of Fame in 1998 and was named to their silver anniversary team in 2002. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let's now induct Tim Wakefield into the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, a fantastic ambassador, professional athlete, and a person who truly cares about his community here on the Space Coast, as witnessed by his incredible work done for the Early Intervention Center. Tim, many congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. Truly honored and especially humbled to be honored here tonight. Thank this selection committee for honoring me and inducting me in this Hall of Fame, playing in such Boston and winning 2 World Series titles and having a lot of accolades in the city of Boston. This is probably the specialist thing that's happened to me, is being recognized in your own hometown. I learned a lesson a long time ago when I was a young kid playing in the minor leagues. One of my coaches talked about this picture that he had in his office of a turtle on a fence post. He described it, and we all looked at him like, what the heck are you talking about? And he told us the moral of the story was the turtle could not get to the top of the fence post without any help. And that sank in my head for such a long period of time, and I still remember that. You know, I got to thank my community that I grew up in, all my Little League coaches, my high school coach, Ken Campbell, my college coach, Les Hall, for turning me into the man that I am today. And I'm very grateful. But last but not least, I want to thank my wife, Stacy, for the sacrifices that she's made to allow me to live out my dream. For those of you that don't know, our schedule is so hectic. It's crazy. I spent days and weeks without seeing her and without seeing my kids. And now that I'm retired, I get to be the best father and the best dad and the best husband that I can be. And again, I just want to thank you and embrace my hometown. And this is going to be my home forever. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tim Wakefield, an incredible ambassador for the Space Coast. Thank you, Tim. We look forward to seeing many great things from you here on the Space Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible evening. Thank you so much. Before we finish, I would like to bring back up our partner, Dr. Jim Palermo. There's a few closing comments. We're going to be taking those nominations now for next year, folks. The committee is already meeting for next year, looking for bigger, better things. Stay tuned to spacecoastdaily.com. And Dr. Jim Palermo.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's very, very difficult to follow what's happened in the last 2.5 hours here at Cocoa Beach. But based on tonight's celebration of the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame inaugural class, it's evident that the idea of a Sports Hall of Fame really does resonate loud and clear with the Space Coast community. There's no question about that. Can I get an amen on that? Thank you. You know, the most difficult task that we had creating the Space Coast, almost lost my notes there, Space Coast Hall of Fame was trying to narrow down the inductees from the literally hundreds of deserving candidates that were nominated by members of our community. The information on candidates flooded in via email and the open interactive communication platform provided by Space Coast Daily. The great news is that there's always next year, and the selection committee has already started to review candidates for induction for the 2013 class. So, if you would please, and actually before we do this, before we raise our glasses, I'm looking across the room, and it's 10 o'clock, folks, it's getting late. And nobody has left this room. So when I say it really resonates with the community, what we're doing in terms of honoring and memorializing the athletes of Ward County, there's absolutely no question that this is an event that will last throughout the years. So if you would, please join me, and if you still have something in your glasses, I know it's late, join me in a toast to this year's, the inaugural class of Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame, and also to those athletes to be inducted in the future. Hear, hear, folks. Thank you very much, and please, as we close, have a very, very safe trip